The North Sea previously had a rich history of offshore native oyster reefs, with records of harvesting and cultivation in the Northumbria region dating back to medieval times. However, habitat loss, overharvesting, pollution and disease has led to a 95% decline in native oyster populations across the UK. The North Sea has the potential to support a huge biodiversity of life, but it needs vital marine habitats such as oysters to reach this potential. Thanks to the £1.18 million raised by the players of the People's Postcode Lottery, ZSL, Blue Marine, British Marine and Groundwork North Eastern Cumbria have teamed up to build a 7,500 square metre new oyster reef, aiming to support the health and resilience of local coastal waters in the Tyne Wear. As the native oysters arrive from Loch Ryan in Scotland, the first step is to make sure they're in good condition and count them. Luckily, there is an enthusiastic team of local volunteers on hand to help. Since the oysters have arrived from a different environment, they need to be made biosecure. This means that all of the small creatures that may have hitched a ride need to be removed. They're also given a good scrub, wash and then put in saltwater tanks to keep them happy. With thousands of oysters to process, the work goes on and on and on. And after the 100 dedicated local volunteers head home for the evening, the Wild Oysters Project team are left to finish up and complete final checks before getting a well-earned rest. Over the next few days, the foundation for the new underwater marine ecosystem will be laid. This contains a main layer comprising of 600 tonnes of locally sourced stone and a top layer of 150 tonnes of old scallop shell known as cultch. The process requires some significant logistics. The excavator loads tonnes of gravel onto the barge at a time, which must be deployed at low tide the following morning. This stone will provide a sturdy base for the cultch to sit on. In the morning, they head off to the reef site. Despite the early start, the team are excited to place the first layer of this new reef. The barge is already in position with a mounted excavator to skillfully drop the stone in an arc along the coordinates of the site. The team watch on from the support boat where the stone is laid, and they use an underwater video camera to check on the distribution of the gravel onto the seafloor. When all is looking good, it's time to move on to the deployment of the scallop shell. Baby oysters will attach onto the textured surface of the shell, which is now slightly raised off the ground by the previously laid stone. The reef foundation is ready. Completing a restoration project like this one not only hopes to boost British native oyster populations, but also aims to engage thousands of local volunteers, students and community groups to improve the knowledge and understanding of the marine environment and the incredible wildlife and habitats that we have here in the UK. The support and engagement of local communities is essential. Volunteers have contributed over 2,000 hours of their time to support the project, and over 10,000 local school students have engaged with the project and learnt more about our local marine environment and the importance of marine habitats, such as native oysters. We hope that our engagement and education efforts will help to inspire the next generation to care for the oceans and understand how a healthy ocean can support our marine ecosystem. Now that the stone and cultch has had time to settle down, we are ready for the next step in the restoration process. Today, the team will deploy the oysters onto their new home. With thousands of native oysters to load and drop into the narrow window of time allowed by the tides, it's all hands on deck to get the job done. Partnering up with a local retired fisher, the oysters are loaded onto his vessel, coordinates checked, and they head out to sea. The vessel must be exactly lined up with the previously laid foundations to ensure that the oysters successfully land on their newly created home. It's a precise job and requires good communication. The signal is given and the oysters are dropped. The oysters are carefully laid in a specific density so that after each thousands of release, the vessel realigns and the team go again. Lastly, a submersible camera is driven down to verify that the cultch and oysters have been deployed within our reef area. Working with nature can be unpredictable, and in the months following the deployment of the oysters, unprecedented severe winter storms swept through the area. We have returned to the site since the oyster deployment to carry out surveys on the reef, and we believe that the storm may have shifted some of the reef material from its original location. As we continue to monitor their progress, our team remains optimistic that the oysters will thrive, reproduce, and grow. These hardworking molluscs have the potential to make a big impact within the marine coastal environment. They're each capable of filtering approximately 200 litres of water a day, around a bathtub's worth, which in turn contributes towards improving our coastal water quality. In time, we aim for our oyster restoration activities here to contribute towards providing an important habitat for many different marine species, including critically endangered species such as the European eel and other species such as blue mussels, crab species, brittle star, sea bass, nudibranchs and pipefish. These developments will be closely monitored to ensure the success and the sustainability of this project. This is one of 2 native oyster restoration sites that the Wild Oysters Project team is working on, with other restoration work underway in Conway Bay in North Wales. The Wild Oysters Project is determined to bring native oysters back from the brink of extinction, which in turn will help contribute towards healthier and more resilient coastal waters across the UK.